Do you feel frustrated trying to grow your franchise? Are you having trouble balancing your consumer and franchise development marketing? Do you wish there was an easier way? Imagine if you had a proven roadmap to take your franchise's marketing from costing you to making you money. That's why we've created the Franchise Growth Blueprint. We walk you through the exact same process that we use to run franchise marketing campaigns for our clients at scale that has resulted in triple-digit growth. This blueprint isn't for anyone. It's not for people just starting a franchise. It's not for franchises without long-term goals. This is for franchises that want to scale up their marketing in a predictable and profitable way using a proven roadmap. If you want to sell more franchises, keep your current franchisees happy, and learn from people who have already done it, go to franchisegrowthblueprint.com.
Hello, everyone.
That's
welcome to another episode of the Franchise Marketing Podcast. Today, I have Anne-Marie Martin, who is the founder of Diddi Dance. Anne-Marie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's great to have you. So for our listeners who haven't heard of you and Diddi Dance, what do you do?
So we run preschool dance classes across the UK. We are just in the UK at the moment. And really, it's about a child's first introduction of a dance class just being a really fun, engaging one so that they're more likely to stay enjoying dance and physically active later in life. So we explore different dance styles every half term, everything from Bollywood to jive, rave to hip hop. So they get to explore that dance style a little bit with their grown-ups and hopefully set them up in a really healthy and happy start to their life.
Awesome. So how did you come up with this idea?
So I trained as a professional dancer. I actually joined a local dance school probably when I was about 3 and really enjoyed it and found that I was probably quite good at it. And then I did, after school, I went on and did a degree in dance. And from there, I traveled around the world as a performer. I was a resident at the Royal Opera House in a dance company there and just loved performing. But my dissertation was on dance movement therapy and teaching studies in dance. And so I guess I just always found it really rewarding. So even during all the performing period, which any dancers out there will know, can be quite sporadic, it's always good to have some other work on as well. And so I was teaching a lot during that time. And then I was teaching mainly evenings and weekends. So as the performing started to die down a little more as the age grew, and I decided that having evenings and weekends work, I found myself quite available during the week. And I started working for Gymboree, which is an American company, and they were over in North London. And so that was my first experience of working with babies and toddlers. And I just loved their innocence but also fascinated by their development. I wasn't a parent at the time. And so I'd started doing this work in their classes during the week. And a lot of the parents and nannies and childminders there started asking me about toddler dance classes. There was lots of ballet schools that started from an early age, but they just wanted something a bit different, something really a bit less structured, should I say, and something that they could join in with as well. So they literally booked me a hall and told me to turn up and teach their 2 and 3-year-olds. I know. And it was the best thing I was ever bullied into doing. And so I started with one class and just explored the repetition and how they were developing and what was going in and what was a bit too advanced maybe. And over that time, the classes grew. It became very popular. And then I decided to expand it a bit more and just keep developing it.
Cool. So what made you want to take the franchising route?
So after a couple of years, I'd naturally explored. So in North London, where I started, was a very affluent area. bit of a nappy valley, lots of people having children. So I thought, well, let me test it around other areas of London and just see if it was popular there as well. And it was. Then I decided it was time to take myself out of the equation a little bit and see if the actual lesson plan could stand by itself. And so I took on a couple of teachers and trained them up, and those classes were popular as well. So I think it was at that moment I thought, okay, I could be onto something here. I think there's a niche in the market. So, I mean, this was 18 years ago now. So there weren't a lot of preschool classes out there then. And so I'd heard of the word franchising. And so I looked at various options. And for me, franchising was the best route because I just felt it gave solidarity to the brand. I knew that somebody going to a Diddi Dance class in Scotland or somebody going to a Diddi Dance class in Plymouth would get the same experience, the same ethos, and the same brand values that I wanted it to develop into. And also logistically, I felt that to expand something that is so customer focused, so community led, you need people in those communities to run it. And I thought, what a better way of expansion than to be able to offer this business opportunity to somebody else in their local area, somebody who's passionate about what we do, and build their own business through it. So for me, franchising was a no-brainer, and it was definitely the best route for me to go down.
Awesome. Very cool. So 18 years later, what have your biggest learnings been so far?
Oh gosh, there's been many. Um, I think whenever I talk to anybody about starting their own business, whether it's a franchise or startup alone, is just to do all of your research first. So I made it's not a mistake because a mistake is something you don't learn from, but trademarks, names, branding, all of those things, it is massive to make sure you get right before you invest a load of money into a name that somebody else might own or a logo that somebody else has been using. So I looked into the name Funky Feet, which is what I was when we first started. And without checking, I just bought the trademark. The name was available. I bought the trademark because I knew I wanted to franchise it. What I didn't know was to use the power of Google and to Google if anybody else in the UK was already running classes called Funky Feet, regardless of whether they owned the trademark already. If they were doing that before I bought the trademark, I couldn't stop them. So that was a big learning for me because obviously when we did that Google search, there were hundreds. I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? I can't franchise a business if it hasn't got a unique name. And so I was with my franchise consultant at the time and this is the end. We're doomed. What shall I do? And it was in that moment, I've always liked alliteration, that I was like, well, actually, maybe Funky Feet isn't the best name anyway. And they're really little and they dance. And what could I think that describes little and dancing? It was Diddy. So the name came up literally as quick as that. Quick Google search. Nobody was using that name. Quickly bought the trademark and went on from there, and it was all fine. But I would say that is a massive learning and a big tip for anybody starting a business, because now being a trademark owner and other people starting classes, Diddy Dance, Diddy Dancers, things like that, I have to then be the one going, I'm really sorry, but you can't use the name because I own it. But I've invested hundreds and thousands of pounds into this business, and it's heartbreaking to hear. So just always check whatever name and design work you want to do, make sure it isn't already owned, and before you spending a lot of money on it.
Very, very good good advice, Anne Marie.
Yeah, it can be a very costly mistake to make.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So what's been your biggest win to date so far?
I think over time you have lots of little wins, and I think signing the first franchisee always feels like a great win. You're like, wow, somebody actually believes in this business as much as I do. So you've got a great little win there. But you always get those little wins, I think, especially when you're a customer-led business or a service-based business. When you hear customer feedback and amazing reviews and things like that, that is always a little win. We had one yesterday from a franchisee of this mum, such a heartfelt review of how the classes had helped her and her children so much to develop and grow in confidence. So all of those things is great. Franchisees doing well, succeeding. We had a franchisee whose husband was made redundant. And so they're worrying times, but her business alone managed to carry them through financially. That's an amazing feeling and an amazing win. And then whenever you get an acknowledgement, whether it's an industry award or anything like that, I think anything that reinforces what you're doing, gives you that belief that what you're doing is right, they're all wins that you should definitely always celebrate.
For sure, for sure. Like that just feeling of accomplishment, you can't replace that. So I'm curious, how have you been empowering your franchisees to, help make sure they're getting those both small and big wins on their side?
I think it's about when somebody runs a business, and I think especially when somebody comes into a franchise network, I feel that they're coming into this because maybe they haven't got an original business idea, that light bulb moment of I'm going to create this or invent this. They know they want to run a business, but they know they want that support or that trusted brand, or they just need a hand to hold them do it the right way. And so it's about, for me, because I still teach a lot of the classes, for me, it's about leading by example. I wouldn't ask any of my franchisees to do something that I don't already do. I want to make sure I'm trying to give them the best positive mindset I can, and also inspire them, motivate them, just so that they can deliver the best business that they can. So for me, yes, we want everybody to be on track. We want everybody to be successful. But for me, it's about motivating and encouraging the network rather than setting targets and consequences and penalties or anything like that. So I think because of the nature of what we do in our business as well, you want to make sure that those franchisees are feeling the best they can to be able to deliver the most positive and engaging sessions that they can.
Very, very good stuff. So how are you balancing, giving them freedom and flexibility to kind of make it their own while still ensuring that, they hold on to their, Diddy Dance's core values in branding and all and such?
We'll get right back to the show, but do you feel frustrated trying to grow your franchise? Are you having trouble balancing your consumer and franchise development marketing? Do you wish there was an easier way? Imagine if you had a roadmap to take your franchise's marketing from costing you to making you money. That's why we've created the Franchise Growth Blueprint. To find out more, visit franchisegrowthblueprint.com. That's franchisegrowthblueprint.com. Now back to today's episode.
All of our lesson plans we've developed over the years, and they are done for them. But I always make sure in training that they know it's about them delivering that brand. The lesson plan itself can only go so far. And it is definitely about them and their personality to bring that to life. And as the lessons have developed, we've worked with the franchisees on their ideas and their feedback. And what do you think about, we introduced our rave dance theme a couple of years ago. And it was really about, okay, what do you think the core moves are? What do you think they would engage with on this element? And giving them options for certain things as well. Because as we know through the classes that we deliver, every child is different. Every human is different, and they all need to be able to grow and develop in a different way. So sometimes the core lesson plan is as it is, but they have that flexibility to maybe swap that element around. So there'll be two options for that if you feel your class has got a lot of older children in, you might want to mix that up a little bit quicker. If they're a little bit younger, then maybe do this for a little bit while. But then also when it comes to marketing and social media of their business, there's the brand guidelines, but we actively encourage them not just to use head office created content all the time. Because again, as a service based business, their customers want to know about them. They want to know what makes them tick. They want to know what their passions are. Why are they a Diddi Dance franchisee? Why do they love teaching under fives? And so we really encourage them for video content, for getting themselves in front of the camera so that their customers can really engage with them as a person. So Diddi Dance branding and content is the backing, is the core, but it's them that's going to bring it to life for their customers. So I hope they think they've got a good balance. They're not out of their depth having to create content themselves or class content themselves, but they've got enough support and guidance there to help them. And some of them want more than others. So that's what we're there for as franchisors.
For sure. And I'm glad that you brought up social media, because I feel like with today's consumers, they can totally sniff out, corporate lingo, corporate branding, and creative. There's nothing that, like, no matter how hard you try, you can't replace that authenticity of someone just picking up a phone and taking a picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, as things have grown and developed on social media, people do switch off to that hard sell, that full-on pushy advertising. They just want to know about you and why you're doing something. And if that trust and that engagement and that is there, then the loyalty comes, and people believe in you and want to come and do what you're doing.
For sure. So, on the topic of social media, what have been the most successful marketing campaigns for you?
We try and subtly talk about what sets us apart, what we do that maybe other classes don't do. We try and talk about the benefits of all the elements that we do. Obviously, lockdown was a moment where social media was the spotlight and the focus, because that's all we could do. We taught online. We moved online and taught a lot of our children there. So what we tried to do was create engaging content. We did some video content where all the franchisees would come together and do one of our dancers, and you would see all of us. We did campaigns thanking our customers for being with us, and that was, as silly as we would all make a letter with our bodies that said thank you. We one of our franchisees' teachers wrote a staying safe at home poem, which was really heartfelt, and that was great. So we do all that through our Facebook and our Instagram. But again, during lockdown, it was a moment where people said, hey, you should go on TikTok, because that's a great platform for showcasing. It's not glossy, it's not all high resolution images and it making it look all pretty. It's entertainment, it's fun. You can do your dancers, you can be silly, and you can be fun. And so I was like, okay, let's do that. So as a 45-year-old businesswoman, I thought, let's go on the kids app TikTok. But actually, that has probably been our most successful channel. We started the Diddi Dance account just over a year ago, June last year. And whilst other platforms are great, we managed to grow a following of, over 52,000 followers on our TikTok now. And we get great engagement. Customers always asking, oh, where have you got classes? This looks brilliant. That's hilarious. We love what you do. You're so supportive. And so that actually, even though it wasn't a set campaign, that as a new platform for us has worked really, really well. And I think it's a great platform for engagement for what we do, because again, it's service based and we can really showcase the silliness, the humor of working with toddlers, and the savageness of what sometimes they say to us. in the middle of class out of nowhere. So yeah, it's been a great platform for us, but also on a personal level as well, it was actually a great platform for me that got me through lockdown as well. Just the dancing, the fun, the laughter. It was a great release tool as well to drive my energy into whilst staying at home.
I can imagine. I want to hear more about TikTok. So, how are you approaching uh, the creation of the content to make sure it really resonates with your audience?
So when I first started, and I never forget this advice, we all know Gary Vee. I watched a lot of his content, and everything he kept driving down was just spend time on a new app. Whatever new app you're exploring, spend quality time on it. Really get to know the app and know what works on it. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I'd spent hours and hours just watching content and just going, well, that's funny and that's hilarious. And oh, I enjoy that. So I'd started just posting a few of our sort of head office videos, compilations that we'd done. And, they were fine. But then I realized that TikTok is very much an entertainment app. So for business use, you've got to either give value, education, or entertainment. And so I thought for us, I don't want to talk about come to Diddi Dance, this is it, and do the salesy thing. I thought the angle I would go down is sort of this toddler talk series. Toddlers and cute babies are really popular on TikTok, and they come out with some of the most hilarious things. And so I thought, well, we teach toddlers. And so why not use those sounds and create our own content? And it sounds weird, lip syncing toddlers. So I usually do 2 to 3 posts a day. My morning post, and again, you figure out from your following what times and that seems to work. So I would do a toddler lip sync video in a morning. Just they're cracking a joke, they're saying something funny, they're saying something a little bit naughty or a little bit cheeky, and I'll lip sync a toddler. I become a toddler character. I have a bow in my hair and an outfit that I wear. Then sometimes I'll do one of the trending dancers just so that as a franchisor and a business owner, they know that I have that credibility as a dancer, as it were. And then in an evening, I'll try and post sort of parenting humor or teaching humor, the day in the life of a preschool dance teacher. So sometimes there'll be a trending sound, or sometimes there'll just be something that has been really funny that has happened that I will do. And I wear like a teaching headband for it. So I then do content based on something that has, the kid's head butted me in class, or they've said something savage to me, and all of that. So funny things that happen to me as a preschool teacher as well. So we go along those lines, and then every now and again. So last night we had our franchisee awards online. So I did a behind the scenes. So hence why this is all set up like this. We did a behind the scenes setting up for our online awards, and sometimes I'll do a behind the scenes, a day in the life of teaching. And so people get to know you as a business owner and also get to know you as a teacher. And they go down really well as well. So it's given a bit of insight, but it's mainly providing entertainment. And then subtly people ask, oh, what do you do in your classes? Or, oh, where is your nearest class? And all things like that. So it's worked really well so far.
I love it. Super interesting stuff. So, one question I always like to ask is, what advice would you give someone just starting out as a franchisor? And I know you touched on this a little bit, but I want to go back to it.
I think what you've got to evaluate personally is, I've got this business and I deliver that really well, or that product is really great. You've got to think, can somebody else do that? Will you be able to transfer what you do with somebody else running it? But personally, will you be able to hand that over? And that is such a key thing on franchising. You cannot be too precious and too defensive. Yes, it's your baby, you've grown it, you've developed it, and you want people to deliver it in the right way, in the right ethos. But it's quite a learning curve to bring down your defenses and be open to feedback and criticism from your own network, of, well, actually, we feel like we need to do this, or we feel like we should move this way or do this way. And, they can be like bullets to your chest when you first start getting those bits of feedback. And you have to learn how to grow and develop that as well. So personally, you need to do a little check. Am I the right type of person to be a franchisor? And if not, that doesn't mean that you can't go into franchising. It just might be that you need to bring different people into your team. So I always knew I wanted to keep teaching. That was a strength of mine. And that's what I knew I wanted to keep. I'm not a great analyst figures person. So I brought the experts in that did that. I'm not always the best person to give one-to-one calls with all the franchisees, because again, sometimes it can feel very personal. So I have a great business coach who comes from a neutral background, so she can give the best advice and support from a neutral point to the franchisees, and then feedback to me in sometimes a non-direct way of things that we can develop and grow. And also analysing your time and needs as well. When you are first going into franchising, you do need to dedicate a lot of time to develop your disclosure document, your operations manual, to make sure that you can really spend quality time. A franchise consultant is brilliant, and I would always advise it, but they don't know your business like you do. So you have to invest a hell of a lot of time, a hell of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get that off the ground. So just make sure you've got the right mindset and the right time in your life to be able to do it.
I love it. Great advice. So Anne-Marie, unfortunately, we're nearing the end of the episode, and I like to end all of them with something that I call the lightning round. So it's a few fast-paced questions coming at you. Are you ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. First question. What is your favorite tool or app that you cannot live without?
TikTok.
Awesome. Next question. What is your favorite book?
I don't read books. Don't shoot me. Everybody talks about big business books and motivating books and things that have changed their lives. I'm not a big reader. Sorry.
That's fair. No judgment at all. All right. Who is a franchise leader that you look up to?
Oh gosh, there are so many. I think in the kids' activities sector, there are some amazing franchisors. Over the past year, we've come together, supported each other amazingly, and some that you never thought would collaborate together. Claire O'Connor from Baby Ballet, it is probably a massive one. Fiona from Art Venturers, lots of them, other franchisors that are just so supportive and motivating and great.
Awesome. All right. Last question, I promise. Where can people find out more about you and your franchise?
Our website is diddidance.com. That's DIDDI.
Awesome. Anne-Marie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I know both myself and the listeners are going to really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
No problem. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Franchise Marketing Podcast. If you found this episode useful, share it with a friend and subscribe now so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And until then, happy marketing.